It is the 16th day of January 2025. Happy Friday. It's a feel-good Friday, lakini we are still keeping an eye on Uganda as the voting continues. Yesterday they went to the polls. Tutakuwa tunaangalia huko kunaendaje.
Yeah, kukosa mshike hapa na pale. It is only the second Friday of 2026. So hatujazoea Fridays za 2026 sana, bado tunajifunza vile Friday inaenda. Lakini it is still a feel good Friday right here. Morning Cafe will be telling you more later on.
Absolutely. My name is Ann Odida.
My name is Freddie Ndimbu.
Tuangalie magazeti, The Standard, NYS3 bombshell.
And some very familiar names for that matter. Why Trump spared Kenya.
All right, that's the Daily Nation. Taifa Leo, Mudavadi na Weta waumwa kichwa.
Naumwa kabisa. On the People Daily, from protest to power, Gen Z voice of voting might and the 2027 election. We'll be telling you more about this because it is our main discussion today as well.
Okay.
On the youth perspective. All
right. The Star, Ruto and Oburu corner Sifuna, ODM rebels in looming deal.
Once again, a very long sentence there on the Weekend Star.
Aseme tu Ruto and Oburu corner ODM rebels.
And finally, on Business Daily, towns set for uplift in West Kenya SGR plan. Ulisikia watu wanapata pesa sababu ya kupeana land iende kwa SGR.
Yes.
Sasa even the urban centers are set to benefit.
Oh, wow. Sawa. So
it is the youth perspective being a Friday. We're talking about the youth. From hashtags to protests to silence. Walienda wapi?
Nasikia wako. Lakini unajua wachukui kura?
Wachukui kura, sinda sema walinyamaza wakapotea. We'll be discussing that with these youthful politicians. Nick Mwangi, Ruth Ambogo, Gakuna Castro, Jared Oye, Hafith Mohamud, and Hans Rop, starting at 6:30. So do stand by for that conversation. Feel Good Friday, DJ Voiceman.
Sakate rumba.
Leo ni rumba.
Rumba is a term for all of them.
Kusakata rumba.
Sakata rumba. Bansi Kimuyu will be joining me later, 8 a.m. kwenda hadi 9 a.m.
All right.
Tuvuke border in Uganda, tuanze na Daily Monitor. Do we have this newspaper peke yake tena?
Yes, once again, I think there's a delay by the New Vision because the paper, like for yesterday, the paper came very late in the day, talking about the election day. So at least took on a Daily Monitor.
Okay. Biometric mess, machine blues, they say. The widespread failure of biometric voter verification kits in yesterday's presidential and parliamentary elections was likely a result of internet shutdown. The failure of the machines means the country threw 150 billion shillings taxpayer money into a sinkhole.
The irony. So you embrace technology, then you shut down the internet and still hope that the technology will work. These things are interconnected. All the biometric voter verification kits have to connect to a server somewhere.
Yes.
So when you shut down the internet, what do you expect?
Nilisikia akiulizwa hiyo shutting down of the internet hakuna plan gani for the youth. Akasema, we brought the internet. Did you see that? He was being interviewed by Sky News. Akasema, we brought out the internet, now we can.
So basically, they did not need the kits. Yeah, that was a waste.
Candidates in early lead, they're here, all of them on the front page. Were members of parliament, but we're not seeing the presidential candidate lead. Lakini so far,
ni kama unajua results, unajua nani winner.
Anywho, Museveni orders probe into biometric machine failures. Same story on page 4
Tushawaambia tunajua mulizima internet. How do you expect the kids to work?
Lakini Ugandans to know next president on Saturday. It's another story.
Kesho watajua.
Yes, kesho.
Mimi mbona ni kama ninajua. Hujui?
Sijui.
I think I know who the president is. And it is, anyway, let's wait for Saturday.
Education is Mon Bitamizire. That's the only story aside from election stories given prominence on the Daily Monitor today.
All right. Tanzania, they're talking about matters, promises by Samia Suluhu Hassan, 2025 upheavals. Samia has made a pledge to foreign envoys. President Samia Suluhu Hassan yesterday assured the diplomatic community and other foreign nationals of their safety and offered a sympathy over nationwide internet restrictions during last year's elections. So internet pia bado yazungumziwa kule Tanzania. Walizima sababu ya elections, kumezimwa Uganda. Wakenya, ukiona cha mwenzako kimenyolewa chako tia maji. Lakini sijasema hivyo. Nimesema. Anyway, President Samia Suluhu Hassan quoted here saying, "I've also appointed an independent commission of inquiry in accordance with our constitution and pledged to establish a reconciliation commission and proceed with our constitution review process." Just trying to mend fences and bring everything back to normalcy after the elections of last year. Other stories here: how to increase coffee production as risks grow. That's on the Business Daily inside pages. A paradox here: child malnutrition prevalent in food-rich regions. Kuna chakula lakini watu wakuli hiyo chakula, wanakula mambo ingine.
Food like.
Yes, despite being Tanzania's national breadbasket, the south and highland regions of Mbeya, Iringa, Njombe, Rukwa and Songwe are still grappling with high levels of child stunting, according to new findings. So hii mambo ya malnutrition imekuwa kwa magazeti mengi this week. It started with the Star here.
Yes.
Now we're seeing it even in Tanzania given prominence. Uganda votes amid delays, internet shutdown, tight security. Ni kama wako shocked sana internet Uganda ilizimwa.
Nawaamini.
Kule juu, Health Minister orders reforms as universal insurance launch nears. That's the Citizen.
All right. Kisalia kule Bongo, gazeti la Mwananchi, Samia atoa ahadi za kuliponya taifa. Tumezungumzia habari hili katika gazeti la The Citizen. Athari za uzimaji interneti kwenye chaguzi ya Afrika. Wamezungumzia hapa katika ukurasa wa pili. Wanasema hatua ya kuzima au kuzuia mawasiliano ya interneti wakati wa uchaguzi ambayo inaendelea kukithiri katika mataifa mbalimbali barani Afrika. Hakuna mataifa mbalimbali. Katika Tanzania na Uganda.
Mataifa mbalimbali.
Imeibua upinzani mkali kutoka kwa wadau wa siasa.
No, lakini these people, to be honest, how do you expect the voter verification kit to work without the internet? Meaning, okay, how are you identifying voters? Yes.
Don't do it manually.
Wow.
Well,
it is 2026, only 2026.
Lakini editor Mwananchi, hakuna taifa mbalimbali, ni tu
sema ati mataifa mbalimbali.
Chadema yatengua uteuzi wa viongozi. Ofisi ya katibu mkuu wa Chadema imefuta uteuzi wa wenyekiti na makatibu wa kamati za kudumu za chama hicho. Na vigogo walipoangukia kamati za bunge la 13 wako hapo pia. Hatari za kiafya zinazowakabili wavaa tai muda mrefu.
Naona hata nimetoa leo imebidi nitoe. Wavaa tai wana shida.
Hata I was even coming to that. Hii ingekufa, umesikia? Sasa usiku unavaa tai sana.
Yoni nimeacha leo.
Good. That is nice. Habari kamili katika ukurasa wa 14. Na kule juu, familia yakabidhiwa mwili maziko Jumamosi, sakata aliyejinyonga mahabusu. These are the regional dailies, gazeti la Mwananchi hiyo. Tuangalie hali ya anga kunakaa vipi in the country.
Leo tunajaribu kuangalia maeneo mengi. Tuanze na Kampala sababu kule wanashughulikia masuala ya kisiasa. 16 degrees there. They say it's a mostly cloudy day. Quite a hot day in Kampala today, even as they continue counting the results of the elections. 31 degrees the highs, and no chance of rainfall there. Probably next week ndio kutakuwa na mvua, lakini this week is the highest at 31 degrees.
Twende Nyeri, it's 10 degrees. Oh, wow, it's so cold in Nyeri. It's a partly cloudy day. Highs, but promises to be hot, 27 degrees. So that's hot. Precipitation 5%. Very, very minimal precipitation.
You realize there's a direct drop immediately after today. Everything drops now,
yes,
back to 24 and 23. Let's see if that is a trend across the country.
Yeah.
Tukienda Garissa, it's currently 24 degrees. I say it's mostly cloudy. Highs of 37 degrees. Iyo mutaitana. Lakini huko it is not dropping. Probably by a degree. Then it goes back to 37 degrees for the rest of the week next week. Zero precipitation expected there. Machakos kulikuwa na ile nyota launch. A lot of activity there.
17 degrees today, feels like it. Clear skies with periodic clouds. Highs of 31 degrees. This is Machakos. Precipitation 0%. Sasa jua inawaka masaku.
Na next weekend, wacha hii inakuja kesho. Next weekend tafika 32. Mutaitana hata nyinyi.
But on Sunday, kutanyesha huko kwenu. Kutuliza na kuwa prepare for your joto ya next week. Tende
Central Rift Valley in Nakuru, 12 degrees, which is quite chilly this morning. Mostly cloudy, highs of 28 degrees, which is quite hot, even for Nakuru. At least it will drop starting tomorrow, down to 26 by Sunday, but then again back to 27 degrees. So today is the hottest in Nakuru in a long time.
All right. Tukienda Nyanza, Kisumu, 18 degrees this morning, feels like 19 degrees. It's a mostly cloudy day. Very, very hot day in Kisumu today. Highs of 31 degrees. Precipitation here is 5%, but it promises to drop into the weekend just by 1 degree. Lakini next week,
narudi pale pale.
32 degrees. Twende Mombasa.
Down south at the coast, kama ulikuwa na pesa umebakisha ati na bado uko Mombasa, rudi nyumbani. 25 degrees currently, partly cloudy, highs of 31 degrees even in Mombasa. 0% precipitation expected, but then again, temperature takai oscillate around 31 degrees through the weekend and the rest of next week.
Finally, Nairobi, lakini najua anytime unashikanga hii screen.
Mimi sasa?
Yes.
Mimi ndio shida.
Wewe ndio shida.
Sema ni Friday, hata hiyo umechoka.
Unaona hata umeifanya, lakini
it is a feel good Friday.
Anyway, in Nairobi today feels like 15. It's 15. It's a partly cloudy day, highs of 28 degrees. Precipitation in Nairobi 5%. The weekend kutakuwa na jua kweli kweli, but on Monday they say it might rain 30%. Kidogo sana though. So that's the weather, 11 minutes past 6 a.m. Tuangalie Nairobi traffic.
All right. This Friday, traffic situation across most major highways and roads within the city. Typical Friday traffic, Jogoo Road kama kawaida pale Makadara na Likoni Road Junction pale, building up slowly, Shauri Moyo as well. Pale town you can see, ile ilikuwa red nyingi imepungua. Sasa tu ni pale Marikiti, areas around the bomb blast area, railways roundabout. Kidogo tu. Landis Road imekuwa free, it's green all the way into town. So it looks like traffic is generally easing. Ama ni vile tu it's Friday. Now there's a problem here for those using this barabara hapa. If you're coming from Langata Road and you're going towards town, kuna wale huwa wanatumia kufika Nyayo Stadium, kuna barabara kadogo kanafuata reli. Alafu kuna wale wengine wanaenda kuzunguka huko Mombasa Road. So hiyo barabara ni kama imefungwa. This entire stretch kuna jina fulani. This is where Governor Kimani Wamatangi of Kiambu had some business that was demolished this week.
Oh, wow.
So that entire stretch has been closed to traffic. So kindly elewa hiyo. Kule kwingine Thika Road is looking good, even Pangani interchange building up slowly, but Thika Road hapa hata kama inakaa vizuri. Allsops, there's a stretch of red hapo extending close to KCA University. I don't know exactly what's happening there, but that could be a potential problem for guys using Thika Road. Otherwise, wengine wako sawa, Mombasa Road, Wayakiwe, Ngong Road, it's moving smoothly to the city center. All
right, let's have the quote of the day. I can accept failure. Everyone fails at something, but I can accept not trying. All right, let's come back and take a look at the local dailies in depth. We start off with the standard NIS 3 bombshell, Season 3 haste. Shocking revelations by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission suggest the National Youth Service remains a cash cow for tenderpreneurs. If the claims withstand scrutiny in court, in the latest scheme, Ben Gethi and his associates are accused of billing the government more than 6.2 billion shillings for supplies allegedly delivered to the service. But an inspection of NYS stores found no evidence that items such as boots and cooking oil were ever supplied. Even the supposed deliveries of pineapples and corned beef existed only on paper. But there is a twist. The Director of Public Prosecution says the evidence is faulty and the case is weak. Again, Ben Gethi.
There's a lot to be said about even the ODPP, but let's start with this other one. Because this is the third such scandal involving the NYS. The first two, NYS 1 and NYS 2, happened under the Uhuru Kenyatta administration. Na ileta shida nyingi. Kuna watu walifutwa, wengine wakapewa duties, wengine wakakuwa accused of catwalking in parliament, wakidanganya kizungu mingi. Right now, they're big people. Now, the thing that has remained constant through the NYS 1, NYS 2, NYS 3 are some names that are here. Sio mimi nimesema. Kuna majina hayatoki, NYS 1, NYS 2, NYS 3, kuna jina tu bado iko hapo na bado iko tu. Alafu kuna mtu hapa anaitwa ODPP anasema hakuna evidence hapo, but hakuna evidence. But the question is, this office of the prosecutor. How many cases have you had him cancel or his office cancel saying there's no evidence?
A lot. Sana last year.
That's a lot.
That's an issue.
Yes. That raises quite a number of questions about even the investigations and the fight against corruption. If at all the ODPP keeps saying that all these cases that we talk about and they feature on the dailies have very little evidence to stand in court, then what does it mean? Yeah.
Right. And of course, kama vile Fred mentioned, GOtv first hit the headlines in 2015 when the infamous 791 million scandal, NY Season 1, erupted after investigators uncovered the loss of millions through irregular payments to a network of companies for supplies allegedly delivered to the youth agency. So issue inakwanga anasema amefanya supplies lakini akiangalia kwa records no supplies.
Lakini according to the ODPP there's no evidence,
there's
so
no
evidence. We are not the judge
yes.
here. We're just saying what is being reported.
Yes. That is the only story given prominence on the front page of the Standard, but on the inside pages they make mention of Uganda elections. Uganda elections marred by delays and technical hitches, and President Yoweri Museveni and his opponent Bobi Wine say Electoral Commission staff may have interfered with KEMS kits. The BBC also reported widespread delays that hit the election amid internet shutdown. On page 2, LSK sues AG and Health Ministry over 209 billion shillings data deal with the US.
There's some political news on page 8. ODM. Unajua watu wameongea kuhusu ODM, I think tushachoka. We've moved on from that party. But there's a story linked to that party. Ruto allies on edge as UDA ODM deal rocks 2027 election plans. Now these are political players close to President William Ruto's inner circle. We're now feeling the heat as a political cooperation between the two parties, UDA and ODM, gains momentum. So this paper has established that anxiety has gripped some of the president's allies from regions where ODM commands major support, as a possibility of a dramatic shift in the president's appointment begins to hit home. So walikuwa comfortable, wanajua sisi ndio UDA chama tawala. ODM imekuja sasa na wanasema tuko broad based. Kidogo unarushwa nje.
Your replacement is
oh no. Poleni. That's the best we can tell you, poleni.
Justice Mwita defends decision in medical case where a child died. That's another story on page 10. On the back page, Rossignol says Chelsea paid for costly errors in Arsenal defeat. All right, AFCON inaisha Sunday, Morocco and Senegal. You said Senegal?
Me, I'm supporting the underdog, Senegal, because Morocco being the hosts.
Morocco atashinda.
But there's a game tomorrow, Egypt versus Nigeria, and I think that's the best. That will be mouth-watering. These are two giants of African football. They'll be playing for the third place playoff. So that happens on Saturday at 7 p.m.
All right.
Something to look forward to.
That's the Standard.
All right, on the Daily Nation, we talk about the Donald, why Trump spared Kenya. And you realize that Tanzania and Uganda are really suffering when they have to apply for visas and all these things. Wanaambiwa kwanza kuna wale wanalipa like 645,000 Kenya shillings, the equivalent just to book a visa.
Wow.
Yes, but in Kenya, no, that's not happening. So this paper looks at why. Mbona Trump anatu favor hivi? Experts say Kenya is essential to several US priorities. With Joe Biden's exit from the White House, Kenya was expected to lose its privileged standing and the return of President Trump. Yet, the country has so far dodged hostile sanctions imposed on other nations, including the latest US visa processing bans that have affected Uganda and Tanzania. So in this paper, read on pages 4 and 5 why Kenya remains in Washington's good books. And you realized when President William Ruto went to the US recently during this meeting to resolve the DRC Rwanda issues, he was being treated very well. And Donald Trump was speaking very well about William Ruto. Akasema, see you in 2028.
Wow.
Hiyo ni kusema hata Donald Trump anajua William Ruto atakuwa 2028. Anyway, sio mimi nimesema ni Donald.
I prophesy.
Yeah. So in pages 4 and 5 of this paper. The other story, at least the Daily Nation talks about what's happening in Uganda. Ugandans vote amid polls kit failure. Once again, muli expect hizo kits zitawaka namna gani bila internet. Na internet imezimwa. At electronic transmission of results, unaweza imagine Kenya wazime internet alafu anasema electronic transmission of results. Through which network? So you have pictures there of the top two candidates, Robert Chagulani, known as Bobi Wine, as he cast his vote, and President Yoweri Museveni of the NRM party as he cast his vote. That story has been covered properly, extensively on page 7 of this paper. We have more photos and more in-depth analysis of the elections in Uganda. Other stories: Nyakio murder fight exposes fugitive after a year on the run. There's a young girl who was killed some time back in Thika. The main suspect has been on the run for over a year now. He was finally arrested, and he fought with someone, alafu akashikwa, ndo akagundua, huyu ndo yule tulikuwa tunatafuta. Right. So yes, that's the story. And the main story is there. It's a Friday, hakuna mambo mingi. So sasa kule nyuma, on the back page of the Daily Nation, death of the foreign expert as African coaches leave their mark in Morocco. Yes, they're just doing an analysis of the different managers who've been managing the national teams that have featured in the AFCON 2025 tournament. Senegal's Pape Thiaw, Egypt's coach Hossam Hassan, Nigeria's Eric Shelle, and Morocco's Walid Regragui. Regragui. So some of the managers and top coaches of African national teams. That's the Daily Nation.
For tuendelee, there's a story on page 10 about HIV. 1.4 million, the number of Kenyans with HIV, according to the Ministry of Health and other organizations. Many Kenyans rely on ARVs. 1.4 million Kenyans. Lena sapa virina kuja.
Ile 6 months.
You know where I'm going. Yes.
Okay.
Ile 6. 2 doses in a year. Taifa Leo, Mudavadi na Weta waumwa kichwa. Ubabe, matokeo yanaonyesha kuwa wawili hao wamepoteza ushawishi, huku viongozi ibuka kama vile Natembeya, Sifuna na Oparanya wakiwika magharibi yamewalazimu kuanza kubuni mikakati ya kurejesha umaarufu wao, huku uchaguzi mkuu wa mwaka 2027 ukikaribia. Wanasema kuongezeka kwa umaarufu wa viongozi chipukizi eneo la magharibi kunatishia kuangamiza kisiasa kabisa. Wako hapa. Taifa Leo imesema wanaumwa na kichwa.
Wanaumwa na kichwa.
Vidokezo zaidi: bingwa wa AFCON ni ama Senegal. Wamesema ni ama.
Ni ama Senegal au Morocco.
Okay. Morocco wafuzu
kwa finali. It is either. Ni ama.
Either or. Okay. Morocco wafuzu kwa finali baada ya kubandua Nigeria, huku Senegal wakiwazidi maarifa Misri. Sababu za Kenya kuokoka ghadhabu kali ya Trump. They've talked about it on page 3. Wanasema umuhimu wa Kenya kwa Amerika waiponya, huku nchi nyingi kama Uganda na Tanzania zikiadhibiwa. Na kule juu, mikakati ya ndoa ya ODM na UDA sasa yaanza rasmi katika ushirikiano wa kuunga Ruto mwaka ujao. ODM inataka unaibu rais. Na roho mkononi, Uganda mshindi akisubiriwa hapo kesho.
Roho mkononi wapi? Mimi naweza waambia nani ameshinda hiyo, lakini tungoje Jumamosi. Wamesema results
kesho
Jumamosi. Lakini waniulize. Naweza predict kabla ile toto ya World Cup. People Daily, from protest to power. Yes, and this is the focus we have even here on Morning Cafe this morning on the youth perspective, the Gen Z voice. Voting might and the 2027 equation. Does Kenya face a generational political reset? And will youthful bloc turn vocal mobilization into momentous influence? Because that's the question. I remember Samia, was it last year or the year before, immediately after the very first protests that were very chaotic against the finance bill. And people were so sure this group of young Kenyans will be the game changer. We were certain that these ones will vote and Kenya watasema ndio tutafuata. What happened? Here they're asking a question. Will the vocal mobilization turn into momentous influence? Will they? It's the same question we want to ask here at TV47 today. What happened to them? From very vocal online hashtags to very loud and chaotic protests on the streets to silence. The silence is deafening. Walienda wapi? Walienda wapi si tuko?
Wameogopa Subaru siku.
Unajua hiyo ngoma? Walienda wapi si tuko jibagatag. Jibagajag.
Jibag na jag. Jibag na jag. Okay.
All right. So that's the main story there on the front page of the People Daily. Cracks in Gachagwa's camp, the heavy cost of losing key allies. He's lost quite a number of MPs. One of them, the latest one I think is George Koimburi, the Juja MP. He's already declared yeye yuko huko kwa one term. Na pia mwingine anaongea very vocally on social media. Naitwaje huyu mama wa Kiambu? Wa Mushomba. Gathoni wa Mushomba, MP Githunguri. Hata yeye ameanza kusema huko. In fact, she was referring to someone as Simon Makonde in her tweets. Pale juu is Ruto weakening regional kingpins to shape the next polls. Ruto bado ndio ule chess master, anaelewa imambo. People Daily, people and politics behind sirens.
All right. The Star, Ruto and Oburu corner Sifuna and ODM rebels in looming deal. Insiders say the pact could be sealed as early as April. Your story pia imezungumziwa. Is it on the Daily Nation?
Watu waache sasa, unajua walikuwa wamesema, did you see how many people kept saying by next week Sifuna is out? By this evening Sifuna is out. Sasa wamesema iti as early as April.
Yes.
Wachanena sisi bwana.
Iwezi. Imeenda. Ruto announces 6,000 shillings monthly for 90,000 youths. Oh wow.
Hiyo 6,000 si ile
ya Azimio.
Ile Raila walikuwa wamepromise.
You know, walikuwa wamesema 6,000 wakishinda election.
Sasa 6,000 imekuwa reality. Ama it's still a promise anyway.
This one is on page 7, quite interesting. Lakini ni akina nani wale watu wa Nyota projects? Lakini anyway, do you qualify?
Who, me? I'm not a youth.
Judiciary declines to comment on Judge Majanja's estate disputes.
This is a very interesting story where ukisoma, you know this guy, the judge, High Court judge, former High Court judge David Majanja was not married. He didn't have any children. Yeah. So it's his siblings and his parents who are to benefit from his wealth. Now the fight is there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lakini Will aliandika brother ndugu yake.
Yes, lakini sasa hiyo imekuwa contested by the other siblings. Wanasema wewe hiyo kwa nini sisi hatupati?
Hakuna, si aliandika ni nani anapata.
Well,
honestly.
Iko kotini hiyo ni mambo ya kotini, wachana nayo.
That story is on page 3. E-Citizen revenue hits 8.2 billion shillings per month, shows 2026 budget policy. That's another story, interesting one on page 13. Kule juu on the siasa pullout, why early marriages can't last in a cutthroat Kenyan political arena. High Court freezes accounts linked to Wamatangi. Hii hata bibi amepata strays na watoto pia wamepata strays.
When it rains it pours. Biashara ikaflatiniwa, sasa hata accounts frozen. Interesting.
That's the Weekend Star.
All right, finally, Business Daily, towns set for uplift in West Kenya SGR plan. These towns are Narok, Bomet, Kericho, Nyamira, and Kisumu. They've been marked for major commercial hubs. Opening up transport corridor expected to rev up trade, industrial activity in that region. So they call them sleepy rural towns in Rift Valley and Western Kenya. They're now set for economic uplift as the state moves to build a 263.7 kilometer standard gauge railway from Naivasha to Kisumu and develop commercial and logistics hub along the route. So these are 2 billion shilling. 2 billion. Phase 2B, no, it's phase 2B. Kuna pesa mingi sana itakuwa hapo. So towns like Narok, Bomet, Sotik, Sondu, Ahero, and Kisumu, they are all set to benefit, which is something nice.
Yes.
Of course, the elections in Uganda also features there on the front page of the Daily Business Daily. You know, that's why, because this is linked to business. Whatever Uganda do through these elections will affect business, and that's why the Business Daily has to stick with this story. On the ticker, 1 billion shilling Nyota funds spent on consultancy and administration fees. Remember, this was just how many? It was 5 billion from the World Bank for the Nyota fund that the president is currently rolling out. He was in Nyeri, he was in Eldoret this year, he was in Machakos for the past 2 days rolling it out. So out of the 5 billion, 1 billion ilienda kwa consultancy and administration fees. The government splashed 1 billion shillings for the Nyota Youth Enterprise Project on consultancies and administration fees. Kwa hivyo ile imebaki ni 4 billion.
Priorities.
Local banks want 300 million Safaricom shares sold to the public, and COMESA imposes mandatory alerts for merger deals. That's the Business Daily.
All right.
Once again, a reminder that the discussion today will be focusing on the youth. As we do every Friday, Youth Perspective. Today we ask what happened to the Gen Zs, from those strong hashtags on social media to the loud protests, and everyone was saying, yes, finally, we have a very consequential group of people. Then they went silent. What happened? We'll be having this young political minds in studio in a few minutes' time. Later on, DJ Voiceman will be unleashing some music so that Banse Kimuyu and Ann Odida can try to dance in the new year.
So that Ann Odida can try to dance. Talk to Ann Odida direct. Banse anajua kudance.
Ni address directly.
Direct. So I'm going through the corners. Tangalie cartoonist anasema vipi. This is the Star.
There's this comment the president made juzi akiwa Nyeri. Akasema kwa Kiswahili. Akasema mimi naweza waacha kweli, mimi siwezi waacha ati niende wale wapumbavu. It's the president who said it. Was it a slip of the tongue? No one knows. So now that is what has come back on the cartoon. Ameambiwa tu hapa, I'd be a fool to leave you for those idiots. Even ndio amesema caricature of the president talking to the mountain, caricatured as a woman. Anasema wale wengine ni idiots. That's a Star.
All right, this is People Daily Star. No. Mount Kenya politicians, Mount Kenya politics inaendelea, supporting Ruto publicly or re-election chances?
Yeah, that's a tough one for them. They're split in between. You may support the president, but doing so publicly could cost you re-election. So what happens to these Mount Kenya politicians? Yes.
That's
People
stylistic.
Yeah. Another big discussion. This is a standard, and it has a parliament and the discussions coming from inside parliament. Listen to this. One person argues, how dare he subsidize the school fees? They're talking about the Kiharu MP, Ndindi Nyoro, na ile kitu amefanya. Watu wengine wamekasirika, unashangaa sasa mnakasirika kwa nini? Kama uwezi siwachane tu na yeye. Mwingine anasema NG-CDF kiti cannot do it. I think it's being funded by Wamunyoro. Wamunyoro kuna pesa kama hiyo. He must be a devil worshipper to get such money. The member for Kiharu must be doing wash.
Wow.
Junet ndo alisema no, you can't do those things. Na 100 million.
How many?
100 million ufanye hizo vitu. 100 million, do you know how many million? Anyway.
That's a lot of money. Priorities again. The same thing here. CDF is enough. That is Kiharu and Ndindi Nyoro. What part of enough is not clear for MPs? Mnaulizwa na Ndindi Nyoro.
Even him is wondering. 100 million can't build classes. Kwani how much money do you need to build classes? If 100 million can't do it.
Watuambie. Wale ambao wameshindwa watuambie. Waliambiwa kila mtu aende afanye nini?
Kila mtu aende asome kwao.
Kila mtu aende asome kwao.
Hiyo ni tricky.
We can already see you online. Betty Dimbo anacheka tu pale, and we are happy that you're happy. Wilson Snock anasema good morning from Machakos. Kegogi Kisii watching, that is Amos Onderi. Moses Juma kijana fupi non around Kakamega Kakoi Malava watching. Ndegwa
Wanyama wako Wanyama.
Wanyama. Ndegwa wewe. Mtukutu Idiama Idi Mtukufu anasema pia hizo kasuku makarao huishi ndani zaitwaje ama ni container. What is he talking about? Pia hizo kasuku.
Unajua kuna zile tin houses that police and GSU live in. Nazita kasuku.
Mwingine ametuambia happy new year. Happy new year to you. Bado tunakubali happy new year.
All right, a little bit more. John Dirango says, watching from Limuru, and Morris Werengai Muchanja Kabras nawakilisha.
All right. TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube, on X at TV47 Digital. You can tag us. My handle is at Anna_Odida. The hashtag is Morning Cafe Feel Good Friday.
And I can see admin ameandika hapa, planned girlfriends washaulizwa what they want for Valentine's. Alafu kuna mimi na wewe. Anyway, una watch Morning Cafe ukiwa.
And we have more feedback before ata. It's sema your handle. Tuendelee.
My handle is at Fred Ndimuli on X.
Mtu alisema ikifika February 14 utajua darling ni braids. All right, tulikuwa tumesahau wengine hapa. Golden K anasema TV47 pia iko single.
Uko single sisi?
Hatuko single. Sisi tuko na Radio 47 pale. Tuko na TV47 Digital. We can never be single.
Tuko tu sawa.
Double Pool anasema kuna mambo hata sikumbuki. Betty Alice, good morning to morning Mombasa Changamwe tuned. Asante Betty.
Musao Utena Dennis, good morning. Morris Werengai Muchanja Kabras nawakilisha. Saida Matia, good morning from Baringo, and John Dirango, good morning as well. Kuna mwingine hapa anaitwa Bene Ogalo. Valentine ya watoto.
Wango tafuta mtu.
Kama ule alisema marriage bamba mafala. Doreen Luba sawa wapenzi ni scam. Yo, by the way, there's some truth to it. And then advisor Pastor Emmanuel Barasa Manu says, good morning admin, kuna mimi na wewe.
right, we'll see you after the break.
No more excuses. It's time to rise, grind, and own your mornings. Join Coach Shadrach Omer every Monday to Friday from 5:30 to 6 a.m. only on TV 47. Full body workouts, zero equipment, maximum results. Start strong, stay strong. TV 47 Fitness with Coach Shadrach only on TV 47. Looking for the perfect way to kick off your weekend?
Pole. Hiyo ni salamu ya Mluya kabisa.
Tune in to Friday with Betty, the most exciting show on TV.
Betty, one tear gas. Betty, I don't know where this guy's going.
Walikutoka.
From the latest news and trends to unforgettable moments.
Mimi ni simpa. Hiyo naona nakubali.
Wewe ni simpa.
Friday with Betty is your go-to show for a fabulous Friday night.
Theological, meteorologist. What is that word, Willis?
Tune in this and every Friday at 9 p.m. and let's make your Fridays unforgettable. Only on TV 47.
This is Kenya's #1 talk show, Dr. Foreke tonight. My name is the Eagle himself. Dr. Foreke is my name.
We are flipping the script, but guess what? Or should I say, guess who is taking over tonight's show?
Ani wewe furahia umekaa na kasipuni.
CP unit ni Punet. So you guys knew about
Piga.
Sawa basi. Sema, that I'm giving the whole time.
I don't want to go back to brokenness.
Never.
I just love the high life. Siwezi taka kuimagine ati nimesota.
You'll have to watch to find out. Tune in every Wednesday from 7:30 p.m. Enjoy uninterrupted live streaming of your favorite programs on TV 47 and Radio 47 on the go with our new mobile-friendly website. Experience the future of broadcasting. Visit www.tv47.digital or scan this QR code and stream your way to endless news and entertainment. Welcome to the home of untold stories. Start your day with Relationship Wednesday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. with Ann Odida. Dive deep into the dynamics of love, friendship, and family as we explore the stories that shape our connections. Then satisfy your appetite with Tasty Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. where Anne serves up delicious recipes, cooking tips, and the latest food trends to inspire your next meal. Relationship Wednesday and Tasty Wednesday. Every Wednesday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Only on Morning Cafe.
Your nose alone won't always tell you if your eggs have gone bad. To find out, gently place uncooked eggs in a bowl of cold water. If an egg sinks to the bottom, it's A-OK. If it floats, it's seen better days.
No more excuses. It's time to rise, grind, and own your mornings. Join Coach Shadrach Oma every Monday to Friday from 5:30 to 6 a.m. Only on TV 47. Full body workouts, zero equipment, maximum results. Start strong, stay strong. TV 47 Fitness with Coach Shadrach. Only on TV 47. Looking for the perfect way to kick off your weekend?
Pole. Hiyo ni salamu ya Mluya kabisa.
Tune in to Friday with Betty, the most exciting show on TV.
Betty, one tear gas. Betty, I don't know where this guy's going.
Walikutoka.
From the latest news and trends to unforgettable moments.
Mimi simpa. Hiyo naona nakubali.
Wewe ni simpa.
Friday with Betty is your go-to show for a fabulous Friday night.
Meteorologist. What is that word, Willis?
Tune in this and every Friday at 9 p.m. and let's make your Fridays unforgettable. Only on TV 47.
This is Kenya's #1 talk show, Dr. Forget tonight. My name is the Eagle himself. Dr. Forget is my name.
We are flipping the script, but guess what? Or should I say, guess who is taking over tonight's show?
Yaani wewe furahia umekaa na kasipuni. CP unit ni
Punet.
All right, welcome back and good morning once again. My name is Fred Indimuli. This is a Morning Cafe on TV 47. Today being a Friday, the second Friday of 2026. We continue with the youth perspective, probing what the Kenyan political minds are thinking and where are they politically as we head closer towards 2027. This is a conversation we're having this morning with my panelists. It is also what features on the front page of the People Daily. From protest to power, Gen Z voice, voting might, and the 2027 equation. But then they ask the question, does Kenya face a generational political reset? And will youthful bloc turn vocal mobilization into momentous influence? Now, of course, this comes from what we've been discussing over time, especially after what we saw or witnessed in 2024 with the opposition to the finance bill and the street protests that ensued. We also saw what happened last year in 2025, the continuation of the same. But political analysts argue that youth anger is not something new. that yes, we've had angry youth before, even fighting for multi-party democracy in Kenya. That was very consequential. The question is, will this anger this time around translate into a change in as far as politics is concerned? We'll be having a big panel, but so far in studio we do have, beginning on my immediate left, Gakuna Castro is a political commentator, also the founder of the National People's Guard. Karibu sana. We also have with us Nick Maina, who's a political analyst, also the SG of the Kenya Ahadi Party. Are you still the SG?
Nick Mwangi.
Nick Mwangi. Yeah, Nick Mwangi. Apologies for that, Nick Mwangi. Are you still with the Ahadi Party?
The Ahadi Party has never died.
Oh, right. Afith Mohamud, political analyst, also joins us this morning. Happy New Year, Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Later on, Afith will get to talk about probably the issues around drought in the northeastern region, which is not getting enough prominence as it should in the dailies. But let's talk about the youth perspective and what the many hopes that Kenyans had in this and why it would appear there's such deafening silence right now. Gakuna, do you understand, or are we misreading the youth?
No, the young people are not misled, and I actually think it is high time that they understand their silence. And their silence is very loud that today we are discussing the young people's silence, you know. And it is a very nice thing to be noted that the young people are silent for that matter, because they have been the people who have been very agitative against the government of President William Ruto. I remember very well when the Gen Z rose up and they did a coup d'etat on the opposition, and they became the official opposition. Now the movement, the Gen Z movement, is the official opposition against whatever claims former deputy president has that he is the official opposition. I think the youth voice or the opposition voice is silent, and that silence is very loud. And because of that loudness of the young people, which are very agitative, does not mean that they have lost hope. The hope is still there. What about the economy of the young people? What about their education? What about their health? What about, you know, their employment and job opportunities allowed? They are not silenced because they do not see what is happening, or they do not hear what is around in the streets or what is in the corridors of power. They do understand, but at the meantime, they are silenced because they are planning. You know, William Ruto invites people to come to the conversation with a plan. He has a plan, and he thinks so many people who are, of course, for now, who are poised to compete with him has no plan. And that talks to the reality, because the united opposition, as they call themselves, they are disorganized, and that is because they lack plan. And young people, what we are doing now, we are having the plan. We are putting our plan into other way, and soon we are going to announce the plan to the Kenyans.
Where is this planning happening? Because that's a question. I think the concern by many Kenyans is that force that we witnessed in 2024 and 2025, and everyone was so hopeful that this would be the game changer. But it would appear everything went silent. You're saying that they're planning. Where is this planning happening?
It is a game changer, in fact, that I can tell you the biggest voting bloc is the young people, and the people who to decide in 2027, they are the young people. If the generation that is very innovative, generation that is against the comic politics that is happening in Kenya, because as at now, we are not inviting young people to participate in whatever politics Rigathi Gachagua is inviting them, or William Ruto is inviting them. We are inviting them to participate in our own game of understanding the status of our country. And these young people today, we are organizing ourselves under Safina Party. We have our own presidential candidate. And this presidential candidate is none other than Jimmy Wajigi. That is the man that we are going to field, and we are going to give Kenyans this space so that they can decide.
You've just introduced something new there.
Yes, and let me tell you, friend, 2027 would be the best and sweet election that we might ever have.
Let me see if at all the other young Kenyans agree with that. You already have a presidential candidate. You're coalescing around Safina Party. Even you as the SG of Kenya Ahadi Party, do you agree with what Gakuna is saying? Ama is just gone off on a tangent?
A very good morning to you, Fred, and to our viewers, and of course to the people of Roysambu, where I come from and represent. You've asked a very important question: why the silent? And for those who understand politics, and they will tell you, silent is a political tool, and most people use it as a way of communication. That the silent is too loud, that
people tend to wonder what's actually happening. And the young people have gone back to the drawing board because 2026 is the year of real politics. We are to decide first who's our presidential candidate, and then number two, where are we young people respectively vying for our roles. And you see right now, most young people are looking for political parties, Fred, and especially where I come from in Roysambu constituency, you can clearly see people asking, where should we go and register? How can I register people who want to vote for me in this specifically ward, whether it is Zimmerman ward, whether it is Roysambu ward, whether it is Kawa West ward. Those are the alignments that young people are doing. And the old guards have been too noisy, and they think that is the game plan. And I want you to remind you of the patterns and the trends of the young people. In 2024, the noise began around April, whereby they were discussing about the finance bill. And all of a sudden, in June 2025, we were on the street. A replica was done in 2025. I tell you, Fred, the government of the day, the opposition of the day should be very much worried of the silent, because that's what they should be investigating. What are the young people planning?
Okay.
Are they planning to go back to the street? Because I kid you not, they will be back on the street on 2026 because they need to demand a better education. We've just seen our brothers coming out from high school the other day. They are asking questions. I received calls from many people in Roysambu constituency telling me or asking me, where are we going to place our young people in university? How is the field looking like today? So those are the things that are still agitating,
yes,
that we young people still want to talk about.
Hafith, the expectation was that this force would grow to a level where it would be consequential, especially in the elections of 2027. We're about 20 months or so away from the elections. They say silence is a strategy. Do you believe that this strategy is still working, and in 20 months' time, it will come to fruition?
Yeah, good morning once again to all our viewers. To pick from where my brother stopped, I think we have had a very consequential protest, that is 2024, June 2024. And after that protest, young people, largely those who understand the dynamics of politics, came to learn that as much as we are pushing for something, it shouldn't end at finance bill. There should be a plan and a goal towards that push and the force. Then in between came the normal Kenyan politics of poaching, of intimidating, of harassment. Then there were two options. You keep on pushing and the government pushes, we lose as many numbers as possible, or we might even end up not having a country. So what's the next plan, or what can you do as a young people who now understand the dynamics? The only thing you can do is not to give the politicians who are using the protest, the street, to poach the fewer individuals they want to believe are very influential, and then to leave the other masses that are waiting on Fred, on my brother here, to lead them so that they completely lose trajectory. So what did we do? We said we are embarking on only two things. When it comes to street, we will, and we shall. It's coming. But for now, civic education is the only thing that can take us from where we are to the next level. Mm-hmm. There are many youth, apart from the numbers we saw on the street, there are triple numbers in villages, in rural places, in urban areas that are not even so much interested in street. But what they're interested in is plan.
All right. This plan towards an election, of course, has a method to it. Allow me to welcome Jared. Jared Oye is from the ODM Youth League. Karibu sana. Also welcome Ruth Ambogo, a lawyer and political strategist. Karibu sana, Ruth. Happy New Year to the two of you. Karibuni sana. But Jared, the question is, because we are probing the silence, the apparent silence which now people are saying is getting deafening, that the young people are a bit too quiet. And the concern is it's only 20 months to election. According to the three gentlemen here, they've already said that yes, it's because the workings are happening behind the scenes, that the youth are working together and they are working on a plan. But what is coming out in the public is that there's a lot of lethargy towards the electoral process. Things like voter registration, we're not seeing that pick up. There has to be a method to this strategy. Do you agree that it would appear these questions are valid, that the Kenyan youth, even if they're working, it's not very apparent?
Thank you, Fred. To the viewers, I think this is the first time of the year being here again. Happy New Year. I'm agreeing with my colleagues as they've put it. We had made a statement, and we can't work in noise. My brother there have just stated that there's a lot happening on the civic education, though in reality I think I'm agreeing with the views that there's very little happening in the youth demographic. A good one that displays is the continuous voter registration. We're expecting a bigger turnout of young people to take votes, but unfortunately very few have been turning up at the polling, at the constituency IBC offices to register as voters. I think again, the question as it comes again, we saw it during our by-elections, that a number of young people didn't turn out to participate in voting. And I think, and I believe, that a lot is happening in our demographic. And young people were previously disengaged. And I think we have been reviewing, having internal self-assessment as a generation on what to be done and how it should be done. Where we are today, I'm strongly believing that the disengagement which was there is now getting back in touch. When my brother says that the politicians, who are the politicians? Today we have leaders sitting in here. Are we going to call them as politicians? Mm-hmm. Leaders are engaging young people. Political parties where we are coming from, young people are getting engaged every day, and even other civil societies and organizations. And I think these ones can't be done in noise. Mm-hmm. A lot of work can't be done when there's a lot of noise. We are not going to stay in the streets forever. Fred will agree with me that we have youth today who are getting married. They are getting engaged in the family responsibilities. You'll agree with me here again that we have youths who are getting job opportunities. You will agree with me that there are youths who are back in class and in school. So there's the noise going to be forever on street. The statements have been made. We are waiting to see actions being taken on our pleas and our petitions that we made on the street. And I think at some point from our ODM party, on our 10-point agenda, there are implementations that we are targeting and we are waiting to see them being put in place from the government side. And I think from the youth demographic again, we'll reassess and assess whether the petitions that we made at the streets are implemented, whether the government of the day are really ready to engage the youth moving forward, which of course my brother again stated that what if they fail to listen to our previous voices? All Maybe right. We'll be forced again to make the same noise on the street.
There's also the issue of lethargy, and Ruth, I want you to come in on this, that many, and it was apparent, and Jared mentioned about the by-elections, that it's apparent that many younger Kenyans did not see or feel the necessity to be part of that electoral process because probably they feel the election or the results are already predetermined. This lethargy and this disillusionment in the electoral process cuts across not just Kenya, even our neighbors in Tanzania and Uganda. If you talk to many young people, they say, it's a waste of time. The election is already predetermined. This appears to be an issue in Kenya as well, and hence probably the reason why many people are not really interested in registering as voters. Do you think the silence is because of this kind of disillusionment?
First of all, allow me to say thank you for giving me a chance to come back here after very many months of being away. I have been away from media, and this is a nice opportunity to come back and engage with the young people. And just before I can even begin, I'd like to, first of all, just attack a bit my brother here from ODM. I wonder what he's still hoping the government to do if 1 year, 2 years down the line, since 2024, nothing much has been done. I mean, the young people spoke very clearly, and whatever grievances the young people had, they highlighted them clearly, to date, nothing has been done. Forget about even just the highlights of what the young people are talking about. Even the fact that the young people who are affected have never been taken care of to date is a problem in itself. And the fact that we still have corruption ongoing, the fact that we still have punitive policies still being implemented by the government is a sign that this government that these people are supporting and are now joining will never do anything about this issue. So let's just be real with ourselves. There's nothing that ODM is expecting to get from government that it should have already gotten by now. Now, going to your opinion about, the question about whether young people are feeling as if they are, there's this lethargy amongst the young people. The truth of the matter is that it is there. But the question to the young people is this, that are we going to allow ourselves to think about electoral processes not working for us, or are we going to allow ourselves to have faith in the fact that if we turn out in numbers, things can actually work and change? Do you remember during Moi's time, that was the same message during Moi's time. For years and years on end, people would go to elections and tell themselves that, you know what, no matter how much we vote, our votes will not count. But eventually, at some point, the votes counted, and Moi went. Regimes have been turned around across African countries, and even globally, where people are saying that this person can never go, but they went. So I think it's about trusting the process. And the government, by the way, or the systems, by the way, they normally capitalize on young people who say that things will never change. They know that the majority of you guys are not expecting any change, and therefore, that gives them the leeway to even manipulate the elections, because they know that you already do not have faith in the electoral process itself.
Because the challenge has always been that they say that this new generation, especially the Gen Zs, they're very impatient, and waiting for a 5-year electoral cycle for them is a bit too long. You talk about the tenacity and the patience that younger Kenyans had back in the day, the fight for multi-party, that they could go election after election knowing that probably the election has been manipulated, but they will still go back. And eventually, after decades, the votes counted. Do you think this particular generation of young Kenyans can wait for decades for their votes to count?
In my opinion, even those past generations, they had the same opinions that we have today. They also never thought that things would change until a candidate who presented hope to them came about, Kibaki. And then they saw that, you know what, we can actually rally behind this person, and there's hope that things can change. So I think what will take the young people to get out of their beds on election day is having candidates, and not just for presidential only, but even for gubernatorial candidates who come out and clearly have an agenda for them to wake up, and an agenda worth voting for. It's just like your day-to-day normal operations as a human being. If you're going for a meeting where you know that there's no value for you, either financially, socially, or economically, or even psychologically, you will not have the motivation to go for that meeting. Okay. But if you go knowing that by at the end of this meeting, I'm going to get some money, you will wake up very early in the morning, put on your suit, and leave the house. So I think also, it's upon also the people who are presenting themselves up for elections to be the right people for us to vote for. So I think it cuts across both ways. The young people who are worried that the system will not change, and the people who are presenting themselves up for elections, but also the young people have a problem. Sometimes you find that the right people present themselves up for elections, but we have this superficial idea of who a right presidential candidate should be. Right now, we have so many who have presented themselves. We have Matiang'i, we have Ruto himself, we have Okiya Mtata, we have my party leader, Eugene Wamalwa, we have, who else is on the race, Kalonzo Musyoka. Out of all these people who have presented themselves, we have a good candidate. But I don't know why we want these theatrical candidates for us to get up and say, we're going to vote. I have a problem that at least once a week I have a conversation with young people, and I ask them, who are you going to vote for? Do you think this regime, we can change it? And they will tell you the same thing, that, you know what, sioni kama Ruto anaweza enda. But my question is this: if you don't vote against him, or if you don't vote for somebody else who you think is a better candidate, how will he go? Because if all of you are saying, if we vote for Ruto, whether we vote or not, he will not go, then what about if we all vote against him, if we don't want him, that is?
Yes.
If we all vote against him, won't he go?
All right.
The answer is yes.
And is that a general perception, because they say young people are generally on social media and online? Have you noticed a shift? The same way she's saying that many people are like, huyu hakuna mahali anaenda. Have you noticed a shift? Because it would appear that even the political elite have managed to absorb quite a number of young people to their side.
Well, sure. I'm a very consumer of the law intelligence in the ground. And I'm a frequent visitor of my constituency in Othaya and Nyeri County. So I really interact with people, not only the young people, even the elders. They have the same reservation that, this man will not go. But Fred, do you know why they are saying so? It's because the united opposition, or the people that the disorganized opposition, is not inspiring. And when they're not inspiring, they lack the charisma to all the people. And then the president now comes with his political enticements to the people. Why the young people feel demotivated? It's because not so young, a large population that are very active into politics, that are interested with politics. Some of them are only interested with a working economy. They are only interested with job opportunities. They are not interested with this comic politics that we have been continued. Neither Gachagua, neither William Ruto can say that he owns the youth. Neither of them say, or neither of the political functions can say they own the young people. The young people are very independent in their cause. And that's why I said, and Ruth Abongo mentioned, and he forget about the party leader of the Gen Z, the party leader of the people, and the president for all, Jimmy Wajigi.
I challenge that one, because that is your opinion, and that's what you say. I'm yet to hear anyone else say that that is a presidential candidate. Yeah, but go ahead.
You know, that's the candidate of the young people, and that's why the young people are silent. I think it justifies the silence, because you haven't even seen him with the people. Of course, he's
also silent.
Not exactly like we are not detached. He has been having consultation with the young people, and this is what we have tried to change the narrative. We do not want to engage in fear-mongering politics like the way the united opposition is doing. You can see now in my region where I come from, in Mount Kenya, people are asked now to go for political rallies with helmets, bulletproofs, and gas masks. I don't think we are getting into such kind of insecurity into our country. We are destabilizing our own politics. And not that we do not want to engage in such kind of comic politics that are of fear-mongering. What about the joy of our people? What about the love and the peace of our people that we want for them, for prosperity of our country?
I think it would be disingenuous of us to imagine that all youth in Kenya would be anti-William Ruto and pro the other side. I think everyone has their own opinion in as far as who they support. But there was this perception that the younger generation wanted a revolution. And a revolution was to get rid of the entire political elite that exists currently and have fresh characters, not necessarily young people as leaders, but just a fresh new leadership. That does not appear to have happened. In fact, the political elite appear to have entrenched themselves even more. And this is both in government and those in the opposition. They're still the same people. Where did the young people go?
And you know, Fred, you could just hear it from my colleagues. And it's very disturbing, because I sit down here and ask ourselves, we are young people, yet we cannot front our own candidates. Here, I could hear my good brother already has a candidate. My good brother from the board race, the party leader still says he's a youth leader at 83. My good sister here says they are party leader from DAP, who cannot even be elected as an MCA, and we are still here talking about young people. Let's bring young people.
Never run as an MCA.
No, and by the way,
that's he's never tried to run as an MCA.
That's wrong. Let's move on.
Let's talk about what's happening with young people. Ndindi Nyoro is doing a lot of great things in Murang'a. Babu Owino is doing a lot of great things in Nairobi. This is the face of new Kenya. This is what we should be discussing. That can we talk or can we argue things on merit? What can young people do? Where is our voice? Because I'll tell you something.
Where did you fail in dislodging this political elite that you are so tired of?
It is the belief that these old guards have money and we don't have money. I will tell you something, Fred. During the revolution in 2024 and 2025, young people mobilized money up to 50 million to remove other young people for cash bails, to go to hospitals, to pay those who are injured. We can still do it. We can still raise our own. Look at what is happening in Uganda today. Bobi Wine is fighting for his people as a young person. Today, it's only sad that you can see what old generations will do to push down the young people.
Okay.
Look at what was happening in Tanzania. Young people stood, Fred, and it is very much possible here. Because I will tell you, the perception is of this, whether it is the united opposition or the government of the day, the position is very clear. Let us alienate the young people.
Okay. One of the things that you had managed to do as young Kenyans, allow me, Ruth, is that the youth in 2024 and 2025 had managed to put the political elite in a corner. And there was a lot of fear in that grouping, hence why they came together to consolidate their base. But that fear appears to have gone. They seem to have been emboldened, that political elite that existed then, that they still maintain their space. What went wrong in as far as dislodging that belief?
I want to believe it was true that youth put a very strong force that cornered all, as my friend called them, the old gags, into one corner. And that fear seems to have faded for the very same reasons, or the questions that you're asking. Where are these young people in all these spaces? Mm-hmm. And as far as the by-elections are concerned, the voter registration is concerned, and what are they doing? But I want to believe, apart from protest, there are many young people who are interested in politics. And you cannot do what elites are doing. You cannot even afford to do what they're doing. Whether it is resource-wise, whether it is lack of honesty and how they engage. Young people, you cannot do that. I'm aspiring to be an MP. I have an old MP who is already existing. What he does and what I think I can do is completely two different things. Or how he plays his politics. He has already been doing that and he has a line. And for me, as someone who is new, I need a strategy. Mm-hmm. And my strategy cannot be that I'll also come to the street, sell lies, look for older people, sit with them, buy. I cannot do that. What can I do then? And why are we not very visible in what we do? It's just because our tactics are completely different from theirs. Mm-hmm. For me, what I can do is I always sit with young people, talk to them, sell my ideas in a room so that there are no TVs and cameras. I don't have political rallies, or I don't have those friends who are associated with many things that seems to be capturing the day's conversation.
All right.
So the only fear that I can still instill into that old or the current political elite is by me engaging with young people on a daily basis, and then making sure that I show as young people it's not only protest that we can do. It's also ideas that you can sell to you.
All right. There's a term for it, and I think it was captured by an author by the name Olukemi Otaiwo. It's called elite capture. How the powerful take over identity politics and everything else. This is what seems to be happening. Despite the efforts by the youthful Kenyans over the last 2 years, this elite capture, and it's what is happening in all regions, that even leaders from the northeastern region have been accused of controlling everything, including the resources, and focusing them in Nairobi and not doing their work down there. Don't you think that that is the biggest thing that the younger generation, especially the Gen Z, have failed to do? Get rid of this elite capture.
Thank you, Fred. Maybe before I come to the elite capture, I think there are a few that, if you give me a chance, I respond to. First, when our party leader, Dr. Bro Odinga, says that a Gen Z is a young person, is a youth, it is not that it's young, born young. I think something that has been using for the longest time, just I think to capture and fit with the young people. I think that's one way to communicate with us. My sister here said you are attacking me. You're not attacking me, you are responding. And I also allow me to respond that on the 10-point agenda, there are things that have been implemented. There are no more abductions in the country in the recent past. We are not seeing the police brutality in the recent history. So there are things that we, the ODM party, placed there in the town agenda that are being worked on. So when you are not attacking, you are responding. On Ruto, United Opposition, Jimmy Wanjigi, and so on. Fred, this is where we are getting it wrong as a generation. We are not going to fight individuals. We are not going to face individuals. We need to have ideas and ideals being placed on the table, in respect to who is bringing it on. When we bring it on Ruto, we bring it on the United Opposition, which of course, I think I've said it here before, but there's nothing uniting them properly in that United Opposition. Today, if my brother here says that it is Jimmy Wanjigi, he needs to give us a reason. We know that Jimmy Wanjigi has been on the economical conversation, something that we may resonate with. But if we bring individual instead of what they're going to do for us, then we are all losing the mark. And that's where we may not be, and we are not going to be professional protesters on the street. I think from the party where I'm coming from, we are the only party that has been on the street for the longest time, for the past 20 years. So we understand the streets and the losses that we can have on the street. We also understand the gains that we can have on the street. As Raila Amolo Odinga taught us that there are times to retreat, re-strategize, and know how to hit. So when the young people are off from the street, I'm pretty sure that they are re-strategizing, they are energizing. But again, it also gives a room for implementation and more conversation on the things that we protested on. So we are not going to be professional protesters and activists on the street. Number two, I think on the same, is on the revolution. We talk about revolution. What were we revolting about? Fidel Castro would ask that we are going to revolt. It is Fidel Castro. Against, no, Samora Machel. Against what? What were we revolting about? We were not revolting in the country, Kenya. And at that point, I'm pretty sure that the country was not ripe for revolution as they keep on quoting it. What we were doing, we were giving a statement on the street. It was our civic duty that we were now giving the state and the government of the day that we are dissatisfied by this. Those who revolt, revolution is a bit different. So there was no revolution in Kenya. It was a street statement. The elite capture that we have just asked. And I think, again, on the same breath, it will be so unfortunate that we are going to use age, which is also very transitional, to be a political transaction. That young people, we have young people who behave more like old people in here, giving chances and opportunity. They loot more than even the old people who have been there. They don't build anything. And we're not going to use the age as a transactional thing in the political arena. It will be so unfortunate for us. Give us ideas in respect of your age when you are born. Bobi Wine is mentioning, it's not even a Gen Z. Bobi Wine is 43 years old. So let us be realistic with each other in here. There's a elite capture, yes, we'll agree. But what are they capturing? We have lived shortest under the sun, and we have not been in good position to maybe be able to mobilize resources that are required to capture state power. But as I say it here again, those who are elite, we also have elites who are young as well. Where do they fall? We also have the old people, as they quote it, who think young and still have this country and feel that there are things that can be done right. So we are not going to use age as a transactional.
Yes, and it's not about age. And I'm talking about the old guard, where the old guard is an old system of thinking that the Gen Zs really wanted to change. Yes. But it would appear that old system has come out stronger.
Sure.
Do you agree, Ruth?
I agree with you. And before I even now weigh in on that heavily, allow me again to respond, because he said it's not attacking, it's responding. Of course, yeah. Terminology is tomato.
You're all friends here.
We're all friends here. We are not fighting. Yeah. So the point is this. He is very wrong by saying that his Gen Z leader named himself Gen Z because he wanted to relate to the people. I wonder how quickly he forgets that Oburu Odinga was actually nominated as a representative of the youth, and that's where the terminology youth leader came about. And this is the elite capture. This is the elite capture that we are talking about. This is the elite capture we are talking about on this studio. Second, I think we need to respect leaders. My brother over here is insulting my party leader by saying my party leader cannot even win an MCA seat. And my party leader, Honorable Eugene Wamalwa, runs a party under which we have 5 MPs, under which we have one whole governor who is giving the government stress, and sleepless nights. Governor Natembea has has MCAs. So before you insult my party leader, please put respect to that name. If anything, DAP party is the only party that is left in Western region that belongs to a person from Western region. So meaning, in 2027, DAP party is going to capture the seats that are now belonging to ODM political parties, these MP seats. We are going to capture a majority of those seats. That's our plan.
Right.
Now, back to the elite capture. It is very true indeed that the country has been captured by the elite. In what sense? The gains we were fighting for as the young people still cannot be reflected in the leadership that we have today. I reflect on the story of Tunisia and the Arab Spring back in 2010, where the young people were protesting against regimes that were fighting and stifling their growth and economic development, and they were hoping that at the end of it all, there would be change. What ended up happening was that Tunisia, for example, where the fight started, the fight started with a vendor setting himself on fire, and then later on a revolution picked up that even affected countries that neighbored Tunisia. For me, at the end of the day, Tunisia did not achieve what it hoped to achieve because the dictator went, but in replacement of the dictator, there were now small families that we now call the elite capture that ended up capturing power. They control all the resources. If you look at the economy of the Tunisian government, it is so, I mean, the GDP of Tunisia is way below what it was before the revolution. But the question becomes, should they have maintained their dictatorship versus having a democratic space that is now captured by the few elite?
Do you see us are facing the same risk that this movement
we do face the same risk.
Really get the
we do face the same risk if we are not properly organized and if we don't have an agenda that makes sense and an agenda that is number one, inclusive of everybody's opinion, and second, also an agenda that has an end goal in mind, which is to remove the leadership that does not work for us and install in place a leadership that cares about the people. And that leadership includes us vying for those seats.
Right.
When this gentleman over here said that he's hearing us mentioning our party leaders and the people we support, and he's wondering why we are not vying, and then he ended up saying that Babu Owino and Ndindinyoro are the examples, I'm wondering, Babu Owino and Ndindinyoro already have seats in government. Why I was hoping he would say that he himself is vying to bring about the change.
They're actually part of the political elite
exactly.
that we're talking about.
They are already part of the political elite that we're talking about. So the thing is that even as we revolt or as we bring about, as we agitate on the streets, what is the end goal? Are we also propping up leaders who are actually value-based leaders, issue-based leaders, to replace the leadership that we want to, and then to replace the leadership that we are now dissatisfied with so that the real change comes about?
Isn't it the same thing, Castro, you're doing? That Jimmy Wanjigi has been in the system for quite a while. He could be described as the same political elite that you're talking about. Now, everyone within this youthful grouping seems to be going back to the same people that he wanted to change their way of thinking.
You know, friend, for Jimmy is a different case. It's not in the case of Oburu, it's not in the case of Eugene Wamarwa, it's not in the case of Nix. And Nix should actually alert us or tell us whether his party, Ahadi Party, is fielding a presidential candidate and what the Ahadi Party has a plan for the young people. As in Safina Party, we have an agenda, and our agenda is a feast agenda. We are dealing with an issue of economy, and if you're keen with the conversation that Jimmy Wanjigi and Safina Party has been conversing, it's more issue of the economy. You know, our dilapidated economy, issue of our national debts, the odious debts that we shall not pay. That's the conversation that we're inviting the likes of my colleagues here to discuss. We are talking about the universal health care, how we shall be able to of course, be able to guarantee Kenyans a universal health care that is free, that is fair, that is affordable. We are talking about a mobilized economy where each and every economy, you know, the fishermen's economy, the tea farmers' economy, the coffee farmers' economy, the border economy, that's the economy that we want to uplift. That is the kind of conversation we want to have and engage as Kenyans and as young people. We do not want to engage in rhetorics and promises that we cannot fulfill.
And I hear you, Castro, and it's the same thing that everyone else can say. Even Kasumwel Makore would say the same thing about his party leader right now, about the kind of things they want to do. But what I'm saying and what I'm posing to you guys is that it would appear this push for a new way of thinking has faded to a point where we're going back and still referencing the old leadership that we were trying to change. Nick, are you seeing that problem?
I think my starting point will be, one, I'm on the record have always been pro-young people. And one thing that is very clear, and probably is to respond to my two colleagues behind me. One, why I had to reference Babu Wino and Ndindi Nyoro is because, one, we have to give credit where it deserves. They are both young people, and they are both have done exemplary work. And when Jared says it's not about age, that's what exactly we mean. If you're a young person and you're given a job, do the job. And we have seen these old people have failed to do the job. So we as young people, I know my good friend wants to vie in Odhaya, right? As a young person. But how is he going to convince his people in Odhaya when he's coming with an old ideology that has failed? And I kid you not, because my sister says I'm very disrespectful. I dare his party leader to go to to choose any word and stand, Fred, and stand and declare that him as a DAP candidate, these are ideologies that I associate with. And why we see this disparity of young people with less reasoning is because they have been convinced enough that these old ways work. And that's why I'm saying they are not working. And that's why we went to the street. And it is very clear, Fred, and you see it's a very calculated, and that's why I said it here. Whether in opposition or government, they seem to work, to be aligning in one thing, that young people are not fit enough. Thinking or what they are saying about their constituencies, about their ward label, about their counties. I am very much excited when I hear a young person given an opportunity, because you see, you cannot test me, Fred, about Troy Sambu, yet you're not giving me an opportunity to be on that seat. It will be null and void.
All right.
You get? And it is very clear, Fred, because we have seen today, for example, a country like Nigeria, the president is too old even to walk. As a matter of fact, most of the time, he's supported. So how will he deliver in Nigeria? How will delivery happen in Uganda?
I guess it's not even about the age, because there are many people who support President Donald Trump despite his age. He was elected
I'm coming to that point before.
It is about leadership that delivers to the people.
Yes. I'm coming to that point. When Moses was going to Canaan, it reached a time, because even serving people needs energy, Fred. Young people are very energetic. That's why you saw young people on the street, not old people.
It could be negative energy as well. But anyway, let's take a short break.
And you know, to finish that statement...
we need to take a break here.
Yes, to finish that statement, when Moses realized he's too old enough, he had to choose young people to deliver people in Canaan. And he chose Jacob, he chose Joshua, and Caleb.
All right. After the break, we'll be giving Hafith an opportunity to talk about this elite capture, because also in the northern part of the country, that is really prevalent, and many people there are suffering, and they're saying, yes, indeed, it is true. Our leaders do not deliver to us, they deliver to themselves. That after the break.
No more excuses. It's time to rise, grind, and own your mornings. Join Coach Shadrach Omer every Monday to Friday from 5:30 to 6 a.m. only on TV 47. Full body workouts, zero equipment, maximum results. Start strong, stay strong. TV 47 Fitness with Coach Shadrach only on TV 47. Looking for the perfect way to kick off your weekend?
Pole. Hiyo ni salamu ya Mluya kabisa.
Tune in to Friday with Betty, the most exciting show on TV.
Betty, one Tiaga. Betty, I don't know where this guy's going.
walikutoka.
From the latest news and trends to unforgettable moments.
Mimi simpa. Hiyo naona nakubali.
Wewe ni simpa.
Friday with Betty is your go-to show for a fabulous Friday night.
Theological, meteorologist. What is that word, Willis?
Tune in this and every Friday at 9 p.m. and let's make your Fridays unforgettable. Only on TV 47.
This is Kenya's #1 talk show, Dr. Forget.
Welcome back. We are still on the Youth Perspective here at TV 47 Morning Cafe. With me, Fred Indimuli. I'm still engaging young Kenyans on the kind of leadership that we want. If you look at two of the 4 cartoons that featured on the dailies today, 2 of them are focused on the MP for Kiharu, who has come under a lot of criticism, ironically, for performing and delivering to his constituents. And Hafith, I need to ask you, because that is a point of leadership. That what we are talking about is servant leadership, that a leader who actually delivers to the people he represents, the people who voted for him. That appears to be missing. That even we elect leaders without any expectation that they will deliver to us. And when they deliver, we are shocked. Don't you think that that is part of the problem, given the unique experiences of voters from the northern part of Kenya?
I think that's very true. Why many of the leaders and people are shocked because Ndindi performed, they are not used to. They are never an agenda even. Let me take, for instance, my region, where I come from, where we have, I cannot say anyone from there is young, anyone. Maybe MCS, some few MCS. All the MPs from entire Northeastern, who can you term is under 40, even one, nobody, none amongst them. And they are largely the leaders who are so much shocked that they're even saying, no, Ndindi was never doing all those with CDF money. That he has been, I don't know, budget chair, he has been allocating to himself. I don't know how can a learned leader who is in parliament, who sees budget, who is the same person who is even allocating monies to projects, can sit and look in Kenyan face and tell us, Ndindi being the chair, the former chair for budget, allocated to himself. I don't know if that is even possible. In which law can a normal chair just allocate budgets to his constituency without 290 or 300 so MPs knowing? So they are shocked because what they were selling to us, our leaders from Northeastern, I had never read anybody with manifesto actually. No leader from Northeastern, even one. Any document, even written 5, apart from the normal talks, tutawekea barabara, maji, shule, which is normal, which even if you ask a 7-year-old boy, what can you do for this country? He'll tell you water, road, and it's normal. But they never had a substantial agenda. It was never about passion. It was never about leadership. That's why you will see a region that received more than $1 trillion still coming to an office of DP with a budget of 3 billion. Someone is receiving 13 billion as a shareable revenue and is still coming to ask for support from an office that received 3 billion. So I think what we are lacking, or what they are lacking even from the beginning, was the sense of leadership, the passion to lead, ideology to drive on. Leaders from that region shifted immediately after election from a whole I think if you believe in an ideology, if you believe in something, that should be a long term. How can you be saying we have been believing in ODM because these are our ideologies, and then after 3-4 months, then we are again believing in UDA. After some few months again, you don't even believe in any. So it's not about agenda. It's not about delivering to people. It's about enriching themselves. That is why you can see people attacking Rigathi Gachagua, because he only said 3 very key things. What wasome makwao? Tell me which school I can go in Isiolo. Just one national school, or in Mandera, just one. Or even any institution for that matter. And people have been using this narrative of we are marginalized. We are marginalized by who? When? Yes, before 2010, we can speak of those issues that, oh, we are marginalized. You are receiving 15 billion and you are marginalized by who? Nobody is dictating to you that you will bring that money back to Nairobi and build malls and shops in the city. No law tells president or even any leader from Nairobi to pick money from northeastern Kenya. So if people are coming to Nairobi and you will see 10-15 MPs rallying, and the only thing they can speak to is someone talked of BBS Mall, a private business. You will never see them rally that way. Currently, we are facing a very biting drought. It's even featured in international, I'm sure you have seen it, it's on Al Jazeera. No one single MP. The way they came to attack Rigathi Gachagua because he said, Munajenga malls and your buildings out sea, the way they came to him, terming him as madman, I don't know, all sort of funny names. Who is coming out, even just for 1 minute, to talk of the drought, to talk of poverty, to talk of the kind of life that people from northeastern Kenya are subjected to. And it's not about the natural disaster. That counties or the region, when it rains, do you know the kind of streams or rivers we do have? Garissa is connected to Tana River. It's not just a normal river. That river flows almost 9 months a year. Some are even permanent. If you go to Mandera, they have Tana River. It's semi-permanent. That river runs for almost 7 months. Imagine having such water, and someone is still crying, we need water. Where are dams? Where are boreholes? Where is this money? You ask a governor, what are you doing with 12.2 billion that's allocated to? He can repeat one word 3 years. Nimefanya education free. 460 million is what someone is talking about out of 13 trillion. I mean 13 billion. Then I think I can apportion also blame not only to leaders, but to ourselves, to the communities that actually elects them.
And I think that's the problem, because you've captured, there's this issue of, it was not just protesting for the sake of protests that the youth were complaining about.
Yeah.
They were
The world is facing so many environmental challenges right now. You might see some of them on your very own doorstep, like trash. But you might not be aware of others, like biodiversity loss And if you don't know what the problems are, you can't fix them.
As individuals, we can do a lot to protect our planet. But as communities, we are even more powerful. It's not always easy in today's world to find community, but it starts with connecting, listening, and participating.
Welcome to Echo Africa. We will be showing you not only the crisis our planet faces, but the ways to solve them.
Welcome back. You're still watching TV 47. I'd like to apologize for that technical hitch, but now we are back and continuing with our conversation on the youth perspective. It's about servant leadership. That is what the younger generation wanted to change. Not the entitlement of leadership for leadership's sake, but someone who, once elected to leadership, can actually deliver to the people. We have very few examples, yet and this was a question, Jared, you were trying to address. We have very few examples of such servant leaders, yet the young people are also very much at the forefront, criticizing these people.
Yes, I was responding to that, but before then there's something I was building up on the young people and the old people, or the old guards. Old people know have the strategy, they know the way, but at some point they may lack the energy and maybe innovativeness to get there. That's where we, the young people, comes in. We must find a common ground and ways to work together as a people. I was giving a home-like setup. You can't chase away your dad because they're old and now you're in charge. You must find a common ground on how to run our country affairs. The old people have been around for some good time. They know what to be done, but at some point they may fail to have the energy and maybe the new ideas to make it better. And I think as well it is transitional as I always say it, that even those who are old today, they were young at some point back in their heydays. On the servant leadership, Ndindi Nyoro stands out to be one of the best examples ever in our lifetime. Because when he was, I think the other day in one of the TV stations, he stated out clearly how the strategy works out for him. He first set a foundation on his first term, which a number of our MPs, I'll tell you. We know one of the MP who spends a lot of his time in gym and combs his beard and so on. You wonder, is this what is preparing to deliver to the people where he's coming from? Ndindi Nyoro, when he was again on that TV station, he was also very clear on how he tries so hard to cut, I think, the tax, like how he set up the procurement process in the education sector. It was, I'm forgetting the term, it was an economical term, that it is the people of that area who are empowered to procure, to build, and that money circulate from within. Making a school fee of 500, it is a pure strategy. It is a servant to the people. And again, I remember clearly when Ndindi Nyoro was asked on his next ambition, he didn't think maybe what Kiharu people have given him. He said, until then, today is still serving the Kiharu people. Where we are as a nation, we have the servant leaders. Ndindi Nyoro is just one of the outstanding ones. But again, from his caliber, from the 13th parliament, from the people of his age, there are those who are totally doing different things off from what they are mandated to do. But again, we're asking ourselves, I remember some of the things that the party leader, Raila Amolo Odinga, then, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, the late, proposed on the CDF. Because at some point we were feeling that, why do we have CDF, we have the devolved funds and so on. Why can't we have this finance, these funds consolidated for us to have free education? Because again, we ask ourselves that tough question. We have a devolved unit, we have the CDF, and the MPs have 3 mandates that they're supposed to do. They're supposed to oversight, they're supposed to represent, and also they're supposed to legislate. Okay. The development that they are doing, that Ndindi Nyoro have done, a number of them are not performing as we expect them. But again, that's not what they're supposed to do.
All right. Ruth, on that issue of servant leadership, because that is where we aspire to be. Do you believe that the Kenyan youth, because we're focusing on the youth, and we're not saying leaders are bad because they're old. As long as the leader delivers, that's the kind of leader we want, however old they may be. Do you think the youth are still clear on that path, that it is servant leadership they seek, not leadership for the sake of leadership?
I think they are clear. One, because amongst the young people, there are already young people who are displaying characteristics of servant leadership amongst ourselves who want to vie. Some of us are out there already doing things without even resources. Like I would say, I'm not beating drum for, or rather campaigning for myself or anything, because I'm not vying for anything in 2027, or maybe I will vie. I have not decided just yet. But up until this point, I would say, so far, I have done quite a number of projects on, not even just at one specific area where I could vie. In Nairobi last year, I donated sanitary towels to about 300 girls, different times of the year. In Vihiga alone, I have done sanitary towels, I have done empowerment projects, I've educated kids, I've contributed money for kids to go to school. That in itself is a sign of servant leadership. And I'm not alone. I see other young people doing the same thing. Some of them even without intentions of vying, they're already doing things that display servant leadership itself. And servant leadership is not just doing, it's also like this, one of us said here that policy, the gentleman from Northeastern, he said, policy, other than telling people what you do for them and the things that you can do for them, what policy changes are you bringing about? What can you champion for? Are you championing for something? So I think already the number of young people championing for things is so high for us to come to a point of saying that we don't have servant leadership in our young people. We do have servant leaders. But the question becomes, as we near the elections, will they be swallowed into the narratives of the day, or will they remember that they are voting for servant leaders? That's a big question. Okay. And for me, my worry becomes that many times as young people, we get confused. The moment Wamudende becomes the slogan, the moment somebody else comes and says, another slogan comes up, like for example, Goliathi Wewe, are we going to be swallowed into the Goliathi and the Wamudende slogans, or are we going to remember that we need servant leaders? My question is, do we have a long-term memory enough to remember that the current leadership has not served us, the broad-based people are not serving us, that when 2027 comes, will we remember that this government in the first place killed many of us? Will we have that memory that when the time comes to vote in servant leaders, or will we forget and be swallowed into the narratives of the day?
Okay. We have exactly about 11 minutes or so. So I'll give you about 2.5 minutes each for your final comments. And it's back to the question. From the upheaval, we saw all the noisy hashtags, the very chaotic protests, and we imagined that this was a time to change. And this time round, we are going to get servant leadership courtesy of the Gen Z protests. They would come even as a voting bloc and give us a new kind of leadership, not necessarily young leadership, but a different kind of leadership. Are we still on that path?
We are still on that path. We are still on that trajectory. And I want to join my panelists here and my colleagues, and most of them actually they're also looking to vie for these seats. I might have now the experience of the field politics or the electoral politics from my last participation as a member of parliament, vying for as a member of parliament in Othaya. And from my experience, I can tell you that this is even a more energized movement, not like 2022. So many young people have actually taken into their responsibility to come up and save this country. I do not want to engage in spiritual con like many of the politicians want to do. They want to quote the journey of the Bible. That is a spiritual con. Most of the people, they have given us stories of the Moses. They have given us the story of the Aaron and Joshua and the Canaan and the Israel. And now we are talking about Singapore. But all these things are journeys of the cons, because we are in Kenya and our problems should be solved like Kenyans. Mm-hmm. We do not have to create our own Egypt, modern day Egypt in Kenya, and then promise people that we want to salvage them, or we want to restore them, or we want to save them from that Egypt we created, and we want to take them to Canaan that Kenyans cannot see, or they cannot even deliberate into their minds of the path they want to look. We want a country of goodwill and the will power of young people. The young people are so much decided. The country is so much decided, and once I said that 2027 might be the most interesting and the safest and peaceful election we might have in this republic, it must be a history rewriting itself, because Kenyans are already decided. They decided that the leadership they do not want. That is already decided. But the leadership that they want is what we are trying now to get them, or to get the Kenyans. I personally, Castro, who has been very vocal into this media and of course into the Kenyan political landscape, I have met a man who is very vigor and able to work for this country. Jimmy Wajigi is what we are offering as young people into this republic. I know my colleagues here, they have their own person that they want to, of course, give a hand to, and I'm not, of course, refuting them to give to offer to Kenyans. But for me and my people in Othaya, Safina and Jimmy Wajigi, those are the person that that is the person that at the moment I can say that he will come to save the country.
Thank you, Kakuna.
Issue of economy, issue of audience debts, issue of and by the way, do you know that Jimmy Wajigi is the only independent person who audited the national debt in this republic? Issue of those debts, that's what we want to engage in. We want to change the conversation. We do not want, and I want to chant the young
because of time,
people.
Castro.
Just 1 minute. Because of the young people, I want to caution them. I want to caution young people that we do not want to engage in those politics of self-preservation. The politics that you are asked to engage in of protecting a politician. If any politician wants to be protected, I invite him or her to invite his family members to protect him in that rallies. I don't know whether they ordered bulletproof vest for you people, but you need people to work on yourself.
Nick,
we have a country to save, and our country is Kenya.
Nick, you go next.
You know, when Castro was talking about the Bible, I was very much confused, because last weekend he invited me for Arambe Church in his local church. Now I'm wondering what his parishioners are going to tell him, because he was convincing me that his people need a church. Now he's here saying his people no longer believe in God. But that's a case for a different story. That's a case for a different story. We have to say, in the book of 2 Corinthians 5:17, the old has gone and the new has come. This space, you see here young people, and they will all tell you that they want to vie, because they believe the old has gone. Whether they like it or not, the old has gone. And the struggle that they are facing even in their constituency is that they are told that they are not very much experienced. And experience comes with age. Let us be practical. But that is the challenge you are facing as young people. But here they cannot defend themselves, Fred, because kwa ground wanaambiwa, nyinyi ni watu wadogo sana, hata mwezi simama kiti ya MP, hamna kakitu. That's the challenge that they are facing. But today here, I'm shocked that none of them is willing to defend their space as a youth. None of them. But for the good people of Roysambu, because that's where I come from, I'm telling them that the old has gone and the new, Nick Mwangi, has come.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you, Nick. Afith, you go next.
Thank you so very much. I can see enough energy between friends here.
Campaigns have started.
And it's very healthy. It's very healthy. And before I say one thing, I would like to talk to my ODM friend. I was a very strong believer in ODM. Until recently, when I heard ODM has a constitution that says everything ends with party leader. If he says I'm the president, whether I'm 100 years, I'm the president. That is very funny. And I think, my friend, you need to look at your constitution very well. Anyway, I will speak to the northern issue, that is the drought that is biting. And I will want to tell people from that region, you have elected enough the looters of this world, and those who call themselves a very staunch Muslim, who can only say it's only pork that is forbidden, but the public resource is what is so spicy that they can, and very juicy, that they can BBS Smollett or South Sea somewhere. Please elect people on merit. And that faces that has been there since, someone can tell you, I've been in this politics for 40 years, and you wonder, you've been in this politics for 40 years and there is no road, no school, no hospital, there is nothing. So what does it mean? So to my people from Northeastern region, kindly elect leaders Don't elect looters, and don't elect those who only want to be seen when people talk of the likes of them, the elites or the rich. And to my constituents, which I will not say specifically, because I'm still looking at so many things. Please look at not party or individuals, but ideologies that can change northern Kenya. That will not be that you will not be told it is that you are marginalized, that you are from this region, you have been like this or you have been like that. And to the young people of this nation, every Gen Z where you are, I think it's President Ruto who asked us a very simple question, which I'm still wondering how honest he was. You wanted me to go, yes, no problem. How? And where do you want me to go? And you have been asking this one question, I'm sure none of us can answer simply because we don't have that idea that who among us want to be president? Nobody. And if you ask how many of us want Ruto to go, everyone. So I think that question needs to be answered in a structured way that yes, we want Ruto to go. So do we still want that old faces that we are still seeing? If we don't, which we are saying we don't want, then who?
All right. Thank you, Hafidh.
Yes.
Jared.
Thank you very much, Fred. I think for the first time I didn't know that Nick Mwangi is a pastor. Thank you, Pastor Nick Mwangi, too. There's a lot of noise, and we'll agree. There are those who are saying that the broad-based government is not going to deliver. I think where I'm coming from, I'm not in the broad-based government. I'm from the ODM party. And we have servant leadership in that political party, ODM. We have voices of reason in that political party, ODM. When SG Adonsefona stands to speak, it's not only speaking on his own behalf. He speaks on behalf of many constituents. He speaks on behalf of many ODMers who strongly believe in that social democratic political party, ODM. We know where we are today, maybe there's a lot of noise. We have seen so many press briefings. We have seen so many speakers. Some of them speak, but speaks nonsense as well. But we appreciate their thoughts as well. In equal measure, where we are, I'm from a youth league. We have a leadership, a properly structured, and the president of that youth league is John Mark Ketora. There's another young gentleman who has been flip-flopping up and down, attacking the party leaders and the structure of the party. I think you mentioned him, that is Caswell Makoure. He's not a member of that, or he's not a leader in the ODM youth league. He does not transact nor speak on behalf of that league or anybody in the party. He has been in the forefront attacking the SG of the party and even other leaders, which is so unfortunate. He was the latest signing and the latest latecomer. I think on the same breath as well, we from the ODM, as the noise fades off, we have been managing what we call transition. Nobody ever thought that we are going to be in a situation where we are today, where Raila Odinga is not there. So managing the transition hasn't been easy for us. And Dr. Oburu Oginga Odinga, I think, has been trying to manage that giant political party. The storms will calm and we will soar high. I'm pretty sure come 2027, the ODM party will be part of the government that will be formed, or we, the ODM party, will form that government solely as a political party.
Thank you, Jared. Finally, Ruth.
I will go again in the spirit of the Bible and Christian teachings. The Bible tells us that a prophet is not accepted in their own backyard. And just like Jesus was never accepted where he came from. And that relates to me in what way? I tried to bring about change in Vihiga, but the Vihiga people rejected my vision back in 2022. And so I've decided that, you know what, I will change where I live, eat, breathe, and make money, which is Nairobi. In what sense? I'm not vying in Nairobi, but I'm asking Nairobi residents this time round, as we vote the next leaders of Nairobi, what are we going to look at? Are we going to look at people who, are we going to once again vote in politicians who have proven to us that indeed they cannot manage Nairobi? Or are we going to look at a different way of managing Nairobi? In my opinion, I think Nairobi this time round needs a governor, a manager, in the sense that Nairobi has tried a manager in the past for governor, and we saw what happened. And Nairobi has tried politicians in the past for governor, and we have seen what has happened. So I think maybe it could be another chance for us to try again a manager this time round. And we have very many various aspirants who've come out to campaign, or rather who are declaring their interest in Nairobi gubernatorial seat. We have governor, the sitting governor, we have Gakuya, we have Irungu Nyakera, we have Babu Owino, and very many others who are coming up. We even have Aladwa. So I think of all these people, we can see who the managers are and who the politicians are, and maybe we should give a manager a chance again. Okay. And also, as I conclude, I think we should also look at the Western politics region, because that seems to be where the president has focused his mind right now as we speak. Western and Nyanza region. I want to speak directly to the president and tell him this. If he thinks he will get Western region without any form of development to Western region, he's very wrong. And to the Western region people, we do not have a party other than DAP that is left that can take us to government right now. Right. ANC is dead, Ford Kenya is soon dying, and we have no other party that belongs to Western region people. As people are bargaining with regional political parties, that is the only party we are left with as the Luya people, tuingie kwenye basi, to form serikali. Thank you so much.
Ruth Ambogo, a lawyer and political strategist. Jared Oye from the ODM Youth League. Gakuna Njima Castro, political analyst and founder of the National People's Guard. Nick Mwangi, SG Kenya Hadi Party, also a political commentator, and Hafith Mohamud, a political analyst as well. Thank you so much for your time at TV47 and for your very well considered opinions on the issues around the youth and politics. They say Kenya is ripe for change, but ripeness does not guarantee a harvest. My name is Fred Indemuli. Have a lovely weekend.